Good morning, DGiT fam. Adam Doud here, rounding out another week of technology goodness. Yesterday, I picked up the latest song pack from Beat Saber and knocked them all out on Expert, and boy, those things come at you hard. Beat Saber was not messing around this time. So let's get to the news today so we can get back to beating and sabering, and that just got weird. It is November 8th, 2019, and this is your DGiT Daily. It all started with a random Slack message from my colleague and fellow Chicagoan Lily Katz, who said, quote, "Does anyone know why a phone would send out random out-of-context text for no reason?" As it turns out, we'd soon learn why. The Verge published a story later that day regarding a series of texts that had been sent on or around Valentines Day, but only showed up in recipients' phones yesterday. In total, 168,149 texts went out yesterday, a mere 9 months late, which, for T-Mobile, is actually an improvement. This caused confusion among recipients receiving seemingly random and out-of-context messages. One colleague's girlfriend received help for baking cookies, which was a little late. But other people received texts from ex-boyfriends and girlfriends. Remember the Valentine's Day time frame here. And still others received text messages from people who had since passed away. It was described as a gut punch, and I have no doubt that that's accurate. It seems the blame falls to a company called Cineverse, a telco services company who assists larger carriers with services like, wait for it, texting. Their statement read, quote, "During an internal maintenance cycle last night, 168,149 previously undelivered text messages were inadvertently sent to multiple mobile operator subscribers. We apologize to anyone who was impacted by this occurrence." Yeah, impacted is the right word, but this is yet another incident that shows that we as a culture really have no idea who's getting a hold of our data. One might assume that sending a text from your T-Mobile account to a Verizon account would only pass through T-Mobile and Verizon. One would be wrong. One might also assume that the Verizon person would get the text right away, but seeing as how it was coming from a T-Mobile customer, really only about a 50-50 chance. There's probably more to be said here about data security, terms of service, and T-Mobile's crappy SMS service. But for now, we at the Daily are just going to hope that none of you got texts from dead people or exes, because, damn. So with that uplifting thought, let's move on to our DGiT Intelligence segment. And this week we're looking at the super sexy topic of portable storage. But it's topical because I'm quickly approaching the terabyte limit on my OneDrive, and this PC pack rat needs to store his 2005 files somewhere, so we turn to Andrew Grush from Android Authority to find out what's the best out there, and he recommends SSDs, or solid-state drives, because, quote, "Over the last few years, SSDs have caught up significantly to the older-style big HDDs in terms of pricing and storage options. For the longest time, HDDs, hard disk drives, were still the better option, simply due to the fact that you get so much more storage for so much less money. Now, SSDs are much faster and significantly more durable and becoming better value. There are a ton of great SSDs on the market right now, both internal and external options, so here are the best external SSDs you can buy today." At number 3, we have the ADATA SD600Q external SSD, which supports USB 3.1, offers read-write speeds of 430 megabytes per second, and has a mil standard 810G 516.6 protection, so it should be able to handle drops and abuse without fail. While it's not the absolute fastest option, it's an exceptional value starting at just $40 for a 240 gigabyte version and topping off at $100 for just shy of a terabyte. At number 2, we have a favorite from David ML, who has been on this podcast before. It's a SanDisk 1TB Extreme Portable SSD. It's tough and pretty decently fast. It has an IP55 water and dust resistance rating, and it starts at $70 for a 250 gigabyte model, up to $269.99 for the 2TB version. And at number 1, but really only if you're a gamer, look no further than the Samsung X5 Portable SSD, which uses Thunderbolt 3 for read-write speeds of 2800 and 2300 megabytes per second, respectively. But it's not cheap, starting at $199 for a 500 gigabyte model and topping out at $799 for a 2TB model. That's pricey, but blazingly fast. Links to all these in the show notes, of course, but for now, let's head into the Roundup! Disney Plus hits the airwaves next week in the US, so let the 7-movie MCU marathon commence. Wah wah. But now we know launch dates for the UK, Germany, Italy, Spain, and France, which will be March 31st, 2020. International streaming law is such fun, right, kids? Personally, I could wait a bit longer for Disney Plus to start. I've got like 5 shows already queued up ahead of anything on Disney Plus, but regardless, it'll be fun. I definitely want to check out Iron Man again, just because it's been forever since I last saw it. Meanwhile, I'll keep chugging away at Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on Netflix. So here's a sobering thought, and we're getting back to the fatal self-driving Uber crash from yesterday. Researchers suggest that the famous trolley problem, basically the choice between killing 5 people or 1 person, isn't our biggest problem. The biggest problem we face is one of safety versus speed. Consider that the Uber car in question didn't recognize a jaywalker, which is bad enough, but the NTSB report suggests that the Uber car had 2 opportunities to take evasive action, but it didn't. It notified the human driver of a potential problem, but that human driver was too busy watching The Voice of all things. But the car did this to avoid triggering a false positive, which may have set back Uber's self-driving program. Overall, it means that Uber chose expediency over safety, which is bad news, but honestly not all that surprising coming from Uber. The Medium post is a long read, much longer than a Roundup can handle, so give it a look if you want to be terrified about our future. And once again, head on a swivel, folks. Look both ways. Oh, you have to love the headline writers over at Gizmodo. Reviewer Victoria Song took the Matrix Industries PowerWatch 2 for a spin. The PowerWatch 2 is appropriately named because it is powered entirely by body heat and solar panels built into the watch face, which is pretty cool. Theoretically, you never have to charge it. However, the performance of the watch was fairly terrible, requiring several factory resets to even track steps and count calories burned, and all this resulted in the delightful headline, quote, "This body heat powered smartwatch may never die, but it sure made me want to." And finally, streaming movies is part of our culture now, and movie theaters are rightly freaking out a little bit because of it. A recent study showed that only 34% of people, which granted is still 1 in 3, plan to go see the next MCU or Star Wars movie in theaters, while the rest prefer to stay home and stream. Ouch. Now, if you're a data nerd like me, you can get lost in this piece all day because they break down theater habits based on primary home streaming service, like how of the people who said they go to movies less, 67% of them use Netflix as their primary service, as opposed to 59% who use Hulu, and I'm not sure the math works out there, but anyway, it's all there, so dive right in. Maybe it's a little weekend reading. But for now, that's going to do it for today's DGiT Daily. If you'd like to learn more about any of these stories, check out the links in the show notes and subscribe to our daily newsletter on DGiT.com. And if you like what you heard, subscribe, leave a review, and don't forget to tell your friends about DigitDailyPod.com. Once again, I'm Adam Doud, Dead Technology on Twitter, and we'll talk again on Monday.